as long as you just do what you're supposed to do and you find that consistency in that routine, like it's not a waste of money. It's because you did something that you couldn't do by yourself. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everything you did.
What were some of the changes that you noticed initially in the first, month or two of working together?
I definitely lost a ton of, if you were to see me now compared to like when I first started, like there's a massive difference.
So we got Bryan in here. Bryan is one of my amazing clients who we've worked with. We've been working together for the past like 4 or 5 months, I believe, and had some really awesome results. And so just here to ask Bryan a few questions. I mean, dude, we kind of walk me through, like, give me a little bit of background of like what you do for work and kind of like, who you are.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of work, I have a couple of businesses of my own. I also work with a lot of different high ticket coaching offers specifically, as well as being a sales director for another high ticket coaching offer on the online space. So, I'm always busy. I'm always on the move. Obviously having a few different businesses and then working for different businesses as well definitely takes up a lot of time. So that's kind of what I was doing professionally, but I just wasn't having a lot of time. I was working like 14, 15-hour days, and I found myself slipping in terms of fitness and my health and things like that, where I actually started to see a negative impact on my actual health when I went to the doctors to get blood work and things like that. So yeah, so I got hooked up with Cooper and we had a good conversation. I thought, you know what, screw it. I haven't made a change the last, 6 or 7 months where, I'm gaining a ton of weight and losing a bunch of weight at the same time. So I was like, yeah, let me work with Cooper and see what he's got and see how that could optimize me a little bit better and put my health in better standing, essentially. So.
Hell yeah. Yeah. What were some of those things like before we started working together that you were noticing, like negative effects of you sort of neglecting your health that led you to be like, man, I should reach out. Like, I definitely feel like I need some help with this.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing in particular is like, I did not have any energy. Like my energy was close to zero, every day. It's like the only energy that I could put towards everything was like work. It's like, let me just work and only work, because that's all I felt like I had the energy for. So it was definitely not ideal. When you wake up every morning and you don't feel like you actually fell asleep, or when you're going to bed, you can't sleep at all. It's because you've just been staring in front of your computer screen for the last, 14 hours. But I also had some health stuff come up. So there's some lung problems, lower testosterone. That's definitely something that I experienced as well. So, when I reached out to the Cooper and he was telling me a little bit about what he was doing, I figured, might as well see what he's got going on and seeing how it could actually change this now compared to maybe 2 or 3 years later where I actually can't reverse it. So just kind of being more proactive with it.
Yeah, dude, that's super important. A lot of guys will come to me just wondering, like, okay, if I don't fix something now, like it's going to be to a point where it's irreversible, or it might be difficult or hard to make a change now, but if I let it go on a year, 3 years, 5 years, God forbid, 10 years, it's going to be so much harder to like get back to where I need to be. So what were some of the changes initially? I know we had like a lot of different things kind of in the routine, lifestyle changes, obviously the fitness component. What were some of the changes that you noticed like initially in the first, month or two of working together?
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely lost a ton of fat, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Not only like I think I probably and keep in mind, like I'm not in cut face. That's not what I like to do. I like to just be healthy, right? At the end of the day. But definitely saw a noticeable change in fat. Definitely feeling a lot more defined. So like I have striations, especially when you get a pump going, like you get your striations to pop a little bit more, which is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Even with the body fat percentage that I have, which is 6. So that's always a great thing to look at. But also like just feeling functional. I think that's really the main thing that I was losing, like where you're walking up the steps and you feel like your legs are about to snap in half sometimes, or, you're going on a run or you're doing something that requires a little bit more cardio. And next thing you know, you're like wheezing and you can't breathe. So definitely was able to feel a lot more stable. Like my legs definitely felt more stable. I was definitely a lot more mobile. Energy was definitely increased a lot more. And I also started to eat again, which was awesome because I found myself, going the whole day without eating. And just kind of getting on that schedule, getting on that routine and doing the different things that Cooper was mentioning to optimize, whether that's just going outside and like forcing yourself to do that, or drinking a crap ton of water in the mornings and at night, to even just stretching. Like as crazy as that sounds, like sometimes if you don't have stretching on your calendar or your schedule, you'll never really do it. Or a lot of people don't. So the fact that that was also programmed in where, I was kind of forced to confront the things that I was neglecting and just forcing myself to do it. And then, obviously kind of getting to the state where I'm definitely a lot more functional in my performance has definitely been a pretty big game changer. So like now I could run, I do cardio every single day now, which is pretty sick. So
Let's
which
go.
by the way, you could have caught me dropping dead before doing cardio in the past, which is hilarious. So the fact that I enjoy doing cardio and I like the burn that it has on my legs because I just feel a lot more stable now has definitely been a pretty big thing. So
Yeah, isn't that crazy how like when you get so busy and caught up with work and that's like all you're prioritizing, that's all you're doing, that at a certain point you realize that you're like not even eating enough. And like your goal is really to like obviously, lose fat, but like be stronger, feel healthier, and you actually have to like do the opposite of what you think sometimes, which is just like actually eat more and actually just like prioritize it. And so yeah, it's awesome, man. Well, you made some like really good progress. I know you felt a lot stronger. Your energy levels were improved because you were just like go, go, go. And then, I mean, over the course of the whole program, I mean, you probably not that weight loss was your main goal, but you probably lost what, like 10, 12 pounds around there?
yeah, I think I've lost closer to 12. Obviously, it fluctuates here and there, but as of right now, from when I started to where I am now, I've probably lost around 12 pounds.
Yep.
But if you were to see me now compared to like when I first started, like there's a massive difference. Like my proportions are definitely a little bit better. And yeah, so it's been great. It's been great.
Oh yeah. And I guess kind of like one of the last questions I want to ask, because this is one thing that everybody is always wondering about and they're always after more. Like you can never max out the confidence scale, right? Everybody wants more, whether it's just confidence with, people who are around you, confidence with yourself, who you look in the mirror, who you are in your relationship with women, etc. Like talk about how maybe like that's changed a little bit for you, throughout the whole process.
Yeah. Can you clarify that just a little bit more, just to make sure that I'm giving you the inside scoop of what it is that you're actually looking for?
Yeah, for sure. I know we talked about initially when you were, not in the healthiest state and you felt like you were, physically weak. You weren't as strong as you were previously. You weren't as athletic and, you just didn't like kind of look and feel the best that you were, like that affects confidence, right? In anyone, right? Whether
Yeah.
you're second guessing yourself, whether you're like, I don't feel like I'm equipped to, handle this physical challenge, or I don't feel as confident in myself socially or when I'm out with friends, girls, etc. So I know that was something that we had talked about. How has that maybe changed if it has?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm really thankful that I don't really care too much about how I look per se. Like that's never been a main core of mine. But the feeling of not being able to, like when you're walking down the steps and you feel like your legs are about to give out sometimes, like where you're like super weak because you're not moving.
Yep.
Especially seeing it with like my family, right? Sometimes my parents, like they don't nearly walk or go out as much anymore as they're getting older. And you could see the effects that it has on their body based on like the activity that, or the lack of activity that they have. So
Right.
it's like being able to see all of that. And I found myself kind of being in that same pattern of like grind, 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 grind. And it's easy sometimes to forget the things that actually make you who you are, or kind of like, taking care of your body or your mind and your health. So like kind of going through everything, like definitely find myself having a lot more balance throughout my day. So like not having to work, 12, 14 hours a day, like not having to do that at all, and being able to dedicate a portion of that to health and fitness is because, and something for a lot of the people out there, it's like sometimes you think that you need to work 12, 14 hours a day. But then when you only work like 10 hours a day compared to 12 or 14, you could still get the same amount of stuff done and just as effective, except this time you're dedicating the rest of those hours into another part of your life instead of being so unidimensional, right? So it
Yep.
definitely broke down my limiting beliefs of like, oh, I don't have time for this. It's actually bullshit. I do have time for it. For some reason, I just got stuck in this mindset of like work, 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 work. And that's the only thing that matters in that moment. But then I realized that even after cutting my hours a little bit and having, I found myself being more efficient. I have more energy. I'm able to have more intention with the things that I'm doing, just from that alone. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing of like making sure that I'm not getting stuck in the lifestyle where when it's 15 years down the road, I have to walk with a cane, right? And I'm young as heck.
Yeah.
In 15 years because I'm not moving, because I'm planted in this chair so many hours. It's
Yeah.
not a good thing. So it's definitely kind of given me that pattern interrupt and have definitely knocked down that limiting belief of, I don't actually have time to do this. It's like you don't have to work 14 hours, and it's the law of diminishing returns, So if I take that hours
Yeah.
of working that weren't as effective and I just put that into health, the hours that you do work just become a lot more optimal. So that's definitely been the biggest change.
Totally. And it's one of the most powerful things that you can do is like specifically taking intentional breaks and giving your mind and everything some time to just like recharge and going and maybe relieving stress by going to the gym and taking care of your health and whatever. It allows you to, yeah, come back with a lot more clarity and vigor and vitality for, you know, the most important work that you're doing. So since working together, like how has everything been? How has like habits and everything, you know, been and stayed in touch?
Yeah, I go outside every day. Like it's a must. I was just outside right before this call and then also earlier this morning. But dude, I'm gonna be honest, like if you looked at me when I first started to what my life looks like now, it's very fucking different.
Really?
It's very fucking different. Like I cut out certain opportunities in my life
Yeah.
that weren't helping me and they weren't as fruitful that actually reinforced that culture of like, oh, like just hustle, hustle, hustle. Because
Yeah.
like before I was a CEO of a mortgage company, right? I had an AI tech company. I am a sales director for an 8-figure company, and I do consulting for a lot of other 7, 8-figure companies, right?
Yeah.
It's like what is that going to do? Like that's good. Like how can you even juggle that all at once?
Hmm.
And after sifting through and kind of cutting out my that much work and being able to put more into health and fitness made me realize what my priorities were pretty quickly. Like I
Yeah.
straight up was like, you know what, dude? Like the amount of time that I put into this and this opportunity compared to the other ones, like what is it actually going to give me a return on and what does that actually look like, right? And it made it very clear to me that I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to do all of that and focus on my health and fitness and things like that. So it definitely made me prioritize. So I stepped away from a couple offers that are amazing offers and I wish them well, but it was one of those things where it's like, like I love working with you guys. I love putting in the work, but just based on where I'm trying to do and the path that I'm trying to walk on, it doesn't fit right now. It's like there are other things, other opportunities that might be a little bit bigger, and also like focusing on my own personal development, personal growth, health and fitness and things like that. So I've cut it.
I'm so happy for you on that, dude, because like I saw that, and I know sometimes like when we're wrapped up on like all these things, and I have some other friends that are in a similar position. I'm like, man, it seems like you're just doing too much. And when you do that, you end up spreading yourself thin and going, 1 inch in 8 different directions instead of going 8 inches in one direction, is what I've seen. So yeah, I'm super happy to hear that. And another point that I wanted to like just make there is that ultimately we're all after the same things. And the big 3 areas that everyone out is after is health, wealth, and relationships. And
Yeah.
they all feed into each other. And it's kind of like if you go super hard in one and you let the other 2 like die, it's kind of like, well, what are you doing it for? What are you making money for? Well, it's like we're making money for our family and our relationships. We're making money for our girlfriend and to, have the women in our life that bring us joy and have that feminine energy. And then it's like, and we're also making money so that we can spend the money on supplements and on health so we can live longer and be strong.
Exactly.
And it's like it all just, and then that your health as well is like the foundation that allows you to show up as a strong and confident, charismatic leader for your family, your woman, and your work. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a much more like well-rounded spot to be in for sure. So I guess like what's kind of next for you?
I'll go out to dinners with friends, like I'll do stuff. I'll work my ass off, but I'll do stuff, I'll go out, I'll go for walks. I find myself enjoying walks more, which is dope. So it's like definitely a lot more well-rounded this time around than it was previously. And one thing that I do have to say is you pay to pay attention. If I paid $10 for a coaching program, I probably would have not done shit. Like you need to pay attention sometimes. And it really gave me the kick in the butt because I knew that I didn't have a greater sense of motivation at that time, but I have the discipline to do what's necessary. But then when you factor in the side that I'm paying for a coaching program, it's like, oh my God, if I don't do this, like I'm actually stupid, like I need to do what I need to do. Like I'm paying to pay attention. And when you don't have motivation and you go back to the investment that you put towards yourself, so if I don't do it, then I'm letting myself down at the end of the day and it's a waste of money. So it's like, let's make sure this isn't a waste of money. So it's like, as long as you just do what you're supposed to do and you find that consistency in that routine, like it's not a waste of money. It's because you did something that you couldn't do by yourself. So, so I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everything you did. It's definitely helped out.
Well, cool, man. Thanks so much for giving us some insight into that. Love to see your results. Love to see how you're progressing and happy I could help. So we'll end it there. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.